the first Hudson River Derby playoff game. And we've got a special guest to tell us what he thinks of the Hudson River Derby, Tinnerholm. And we also have a new team in town. They haven't kicked off yet, but they're in Brooklyn. And a guy leading the way there is going to join us a little bit later on, kicking it around. It's all coming up live on NYCFC Views.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. NYCFC Views.
Collins approaches the shot, and New York City wins the first MLS Cup on their first try, and they're going crazy. Tiene tiro y gol! Gol! New York City es el campeón de Major League Soccer!
The sickest New York City FC podcast. It's gonna be sick.
All right, we got a playoff game to call. We contacted Malmo, Sweden in search of Anton Tinnerholm, and he's going to be our special guest in a few minutes. We recorded that just a few minutes ago. It's 6 hours ahead in Sweden. So Anton gets tired at night, Roberto. That's Roberto Abramowitz. I'm Glenn Crooks. He's got a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. So
that'll tire out.
Yeah. So he's not staying up midnight, 1 a.m., out with the boys. He's home with the kids. So we had a fun chat and I thought it was very interesting because part of the reason I got a hold of him and we wanted to bring him on was his favorite Derby memories. And it was an interesting choice he made. And you'll hear about it in a little bit. But for now, it is a derby. It is a playoff game, Roberto. And here we go. We were at training today. What'd you think? What'd you think of the mood, the atmosphere, the vibe? What do you got?
Everything's good. Everybody's excited. Everybody's looking forward to this. I mean, this is a special, special day. I mean, just any playoff knockout game is a special, special day. But then when you get it to play against your rival who you've never really faced in a situation like this. Yes, there's been U.S. Open Cup and Leagues Cup, but this is MLS Cup playoffs. This is a different animal. This is the big one. And you don't want to lose that one. This is not the one you want to lose. You can deal with losing U.S. Open Cup, even Leagues Cup in its first edition with the way it was played. But this, nah. You don't want to lose this game. So, it's going to be fun. And now they opened 2,500 extra seats where they said they couldn't find any. Well, they found 2,500. So now it's going to be a crowd of 25,000 people there. And tickets aren't cheap. I mean, last I checked, it was still over $100 to get in. So on resale. So it's going to be lit. Everybody's going to be there. It's going to be great.
Yeah, and we harken back to the playoff game against Miami in 2022 at Citi Field and how great the atmosphere was there. You anticipate the same thing for Saturday and maybe even up a notch now that it's this derby. Yeah, and they've never met in the playoffs. Roberto, I will send you this. I went year by year. The question to me was that I was pondering is how is it that they've never met in the playoffs before in 10 years? Now, obviously, New York City didn't go to the playoffs in 2015. New York City didn't go to the playoffs in 2023. So those were easy to figure out. But all the other years, one thing I discovered, and the Red Bulls have the record for most consecutive years in the playoffs, 15 now. This is the 15th.
Yeah, they haven't missed the entire time that New York City's been alive, which makes it even more interesting.
It does, but what I found interesting, and I don't have the exact number in front of me, but the number of times that the Red Bulls finished in the final playoff position in the conference to get in, and sometimes by a point or two. So credit to them, they got in, and it's interesting though. But they've never met because they've never been seeded like third and sixth, and they're going to meet in that round. It's just the seeding hasn't worked out. Nor has it corresponded to both of them doing well in a playoff run. Well, the exception was this year.
And it's shocking that it's this year. Who the hell thought that the Red Bulls were going to beat they're going to beat Columbus?
And I don't think many people thought New York City was going to beat Cincinnati. Let's face it.
But there was a better chance of New York City beating Cincinnati than Red Bulls beating Columbus.
I'll go. And remember, what was the thing we read today? It went from hell is real, like Cincinnati, Columbus, to Hell's Kitchen for the Eastern Conference semifinal. And I thought that was cute. I don't remember who put it out, but, maybe.
Well done.
Yeah, well done. Well done. So we're at practice today, and we talked to Nick afterwards. Justin Hack also spoke. I don't have any Hack comments. I'll play that, though, get some of that tomorrow and on the pregame live on Saturday. But you're coming off this penalty shootout, Roberto, and I think it was an interesting question in the presser, so I brought it up in my one-on-one with him, you have this emotional penalty shootout that you win against Cincinnati in the third and deciding game in Cincinnati, where he had lost 5 straight games. I mean, there was so much going on there. So do you want to play the next game, right away, the next week, or is the time off, good or better to bring yourself back down and get yourself composed? So I think the way he answered it, it seemed like, could have gone both ways. I guess he said, we'll find out. Find out how it goes, in the first 15 minutes.
And, also you want to make sure that you're completely healthy. And, there were a couple of players that maybe were not at 100%. And now everybody is at 100% except for Malachi Jones, who we found out also that now he's wearing cleats and doing things with coaches. And so, that's good news. But I don't think we're seeing him the rest of the year. But which is fine by me. You and I have talked about this. Let him be over 100%, for spring training next season. They've got enough wingers to be able to deal with it. If in situation arises where they need a winger to come play, you got Fernandez, you got Ojeda, you got guys.
And I think, and you mentioned Malachi Jones, I think he made his first start against the Red Bulls in the first derby, which New York City won 2-1. I'm not 100% certain, but I know Nick brought up his name as far as giving him an opportunity, and it was in a derby match. But let's go back to the penalties for a moment. And I thought it was interesting what Nick had to say, because my question to him was, and we had discussed it previously, the best of 3 versus a home-and-home aggregate versus a knockout game. And Nick and I are on the same page. I'm not sure where you fit in, but I'm not a fan of the best of 3. But it did provide some drama. So that's how I opened this question or discussion point with Nick. Penalty kick shootout won by New York City FC on November the 9th at TQL in Cincinnati. Here's Nick. Certainly drama. Do you wear a GPS during the game?
I'm actually okay. I don't get too stressed through games because I understand the sort of process and principles of games, and it just can't always go your way. When we missed the first opportunity on the penalties, I was okay. When we missed the second, I was frustrated. When we missed the third, my head had gone. And by then, I don't know if you can say, I didn't actually watch the Micha penalty, because by then I did what Wilfred Nancy does and went and sat in the dugout. I don't normally, but I missed the penalty. And when I heard the team cheer, I knew that he'd scored. So, yeah, it wasn't ideal for me, that one, but normally I'm okay.
You missed all the build-up with Salentano coming out, chirping in his ear, and Micha smile. I'm sure you've seen it back now on video, but for a kid that age, he stepped up in a big moment, produced.
Yeah, and I've said before, they asked me about when I put Malachi in the home leg at City Field. I take the development of players and that responsibility really seriously. They can't really fail in those moments, because either way, in my opinion, they're going to learn. Malachi goes in, if he plays poor. Agustino Hayder went in against New England. Micha in this one. If he misses it, he'd be better for it in his future. I understand that we have to carry the outcome, but I bear the responsibility. I wouldn't have put him up if I didn't believe in him. And if he misses it, going in before Maxi Morales or before, then it's on me, and I take that responsibility.
So he mentions Maxi Morales there. Now, Maxi missed against Columbus in the Leagues Cup, and I think the stat we've seen in his career, 13 for 20. But I that doesn't mean he wouldn't have taken a penalty ahead of Micha Ilinic. But I think one of the things, and I don't know if you watched at the end of the game, and many of the players just collapsed from exhaustion, but Maxi was in tough physical shape at that moment. I was looking for the masseuse and all the different things. So you wonder if that played a role in this too. But
it might have, which is interesting. The two guys who missed penalties against Columbus was Santi Rodriguez and Maxi Morales, who were probably the main reasons why they actually were playing in Columbus, because without them and their extraordinary play, New York City wouldn't have advanced. So it was sort of ironic in a negative way, sadly, that they were the two guys that wound up missing penalty kicks there. But if you also remember, who took the first penalty kick for New York City? It was Santi. So he took the first one and buried it. And then Maxi was going to take the last one, per se, or he was last. He was last.
Yeah.
So it was interesting the way that worked out.
Well, I don't know if this is breaking news, but Nick saying that he didn't watch the last penalty. I didn't know that. Like
I didn't know that either.
And I've seen Wilfred Nancy. He turns his back. I don't know. Always think he rushes into the dugout, but he does turn his back. He does not watch penalties. So that's where the inference came. Wilfred Nancy, congratulations, MLS Coach of the Year, well deserved there. For certain. Now here. So now it's how do you play against the Red Bulls? You're at home. We know New York City likes and has, and they've gotten better during the course of the season, pressing a notch higher up the field this year. And so the question to Nick on this portion of the episode of NYCFC Views is about Thiago Martins and his speed. And so, Roberto, his top speed, the MLS has these rankings. He's fourth among all players in the MLS playoffs at 21.8 miles per hour. That's like his top speed. And he's the only back in the top 10. So that's why I asked this question. I've noticed, and I wonder how much of a role he's played in your ability to press higher because of his pace at the back. I mean, there's one MLS statistic that has him, as the fastest center back in the league, and we've seen him chase down players. So is that I don't want to call it a luxury, but is that helpful as to how you want to play?
It is a luxury. You look at having the ability to push the line so high. I actually think with him in the team, we can push the line maybe 10 yards higher than we have done previously because of his ability. Justin Hack is super brave. Burke has been top. Tane has really embraced it. Of course, our pressing organisation, the coordination, the hunger, the physical ability is top in the front half of the pitch. But keeping the game compact is about how hard and how high you're going to push that line, how brave you're going to be. This is no different, right? It exposes you at times. That's why maybe people say, not so many clean sheets. And ultimately, you got to make sure that you outscore the opposition to win a football game. And for me, this is a big part of it.
How about that? They push the line 10 yards higher than if he were not in the back line. That's saying something. And that's 10 yards. That makes things more compact. I mean, that's an important figure.
No, for sure. And it's there's a reason why he's the only designated player who's a defenseman in all of Major League Soccer.
Is that true? I didn't know that was true.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. There were others before, but
there was I forget who it is now. There was
somebody at Columbus.
There was a player from Mexico who went to what was it? Went to Toronto at the same time that he came in. And now in Columbus, I think one of their defenders is. Now that you mentioned it,
he. But I don't think
it's not. I don't think it's Farsi. I think it's was it Moreira? Moreira.
I don't know.
I think Moreira is.
Well, he was the he was the player of the year. Maybe he can demand that sort of money.
Yeah, well, there's that.
Yeah.
But there was a point where he was the only one, I believe. If it's not anymore, then so be it. But he was the first one, I think, also.
Well, the big word in that response also is brave. So this team has to be brave. By the way, I've got my Anton Tinnerholm shirt on, which, in honor of
could you kiss up any more to him than that? My God.
He's coming up in a few minutes, folks. We're going to talk to Anton. He came from a little celebration, Malmo. They won 2 championships before he got there, and they won one this year. And he's trying to work his way back from injury. And hopefully he'll be ready for next season full time. All right, one more from Nick. And I found this interesting too, Roberto, and you were sitting in the room too when we were talking about this. Is Sandro Schwartz is in his first year as the head coach for Red Bull. And he came in with a different philosophy, not massively different, but he wanted to keep the ball more. He wanted to be less direct. And he was at first. Well, there, as Nick will tell you, things have changed. So, and they changed in particular at the moment when New York City on the road at the Red Bull Arena won that.
No, that
match.
was definitely on the road. No, it wasn't a home game for New York City. That was a
I
definite road game for
know.
New York City.
On the road. It's hardly a road game. It's a place where New York City's played a lot of their home games. I know it's an away game.
From
Roberto.
that perspective, all right, fine.
Well, if you're just listening to this, Roberto's catching me because I'm giving little quotes on the road because, come on. You take a boat over there and have anyway, the point, of course, I've lost the point now. But anyway, so it was after 5-1 when things changed. So here's Nick. Last one with Nick.
I think I don't necessarily think it's Columbus. I do think that they're more direct post us. I think you can see that the data shows that they don't play so many passes from the goalkeeper to the midfield players. They get the ball forward a lot quicker and they play off second balls for transition. So it's a little bit more the Red Bull of old. They're a little bit more...
Yeah, like 46% possession, which is lower end of I think the fourth lowest in the league.
They're more like Gerhard Stuber, Troy Lesane Red Bull than Sandro Schwartz Red Bull in the sense of, they were more possession based under Sandro earlier than they are now. It's going to be a difficult game. I think the data shows that post our game they've decided to be a bit more direct, and that's where they're dangerous. So I understand it. For me, it's about playing the game that's in front of us. If we have pressing opportunities, brilliant. If the ball is direct, we have to fight for second balls and we have to compete.
Second balls. Those two words, second balls, and to define second balls, that is when the ball's played long and direct, it's the next ball that's played. Do you win it or does the opponent win it and you go from there? And I think that's going to be a big piece of this, Roberto. And
the one question I wanted to ask him, the one question I wanted to ask him, and we didn't get time because he had to run out, was does City Field and the comfortable dimensions of City Field, if that play, how much of a factor does that play? And does that favor more New York City or does it favor the Red Bulls more? So you being the coach on here and coming back with your stint from Santa Lucia, or at least trying to help them get into CONCACAF Gold Cup, I will ask you that. So who does it favor? The fact that New York City is playing on a field and against the Red Bulls, it is 110 by 70 as opposed to 115 or 120 by 75.
Well, I'll answer it this way. I think since New York City is a team that would like to press higher up the pitch, I think it can favor New York City just as much as the chaos that the Red Bulls will administer. And I think one thing is clear, that Carlos Coronel will not play the ball up the middle, out of the back, on the ground, 15 yards from his own goal, into the path of Maxi Morales. And that was one. And that's one of the, but that's a critical moment where Sandro Schwartz said, we can't be giving the ball away in the back like that. And that's when things changed, and they had to suffer through that game. But it's a different team you're going to see. I guess I didn't directly answer the question. I don't think it favors either team, significantly, because New York City's playing they want to press the hell out of them. And the first 10 or 15 minutes, I would think, to get the crowd into it early, I expect a lot of front foot action from.
I agree. So now let's look at it from this perspective. When New York City is defending out of the back and the Red Bulls are pressing, I really feel that New York City has to play very, very simple and not risk. And if they have to kick the ball out of bounds, reorganize your defense, and then try to win the ball in a better position and then get the ball out. But I'm not for trying to play through and play out of the back, because one goal can change this entire game. Or you lose the ball and you commit a foul and you get a card. Well, that might be the wrong color, and that changes the game too. So I'm in favor of the KISS principle as far as New York City is concerned, and do that, which is keep it simple, stupid.
Okay, so the word that I said was critical that Nick Cushing used earlier in one of those clips, brave. So in other words, you don't want them to ever be brave. Is that what you're saying?
Not that I don't want them ever to be brave, but play sensible when it comes to that. Because if they lose, if you lose a ball like where Coronel lost the ball to Maxi, right? I mean, that could just be game over. And, there isn't coming back from this, right? This is a one-game knockout. It's not even a 3-game knockout, which I think that you can play a little bit riskier. Okay? Yeah. I think, there's a balance between brave and then, especially when you consider New York City has committed enough errors this year in the back that has cost them goals. And I don't know, maybe I'm not as brave as Nick is as far as these things are concerned. But, I mean, I would probably be, play it a little bit safer. And I don't know what the fans feel. If they want to write us, we're watching comments right now. So let us know what you feel about this. You can give us our comments on YouTube, and we'll check Facebook and Blue Sky, and rather Twitter and Blue Sky, which, by the way, subscribe to Blue Sky, please, and follow us. And what do you call it? And we'll check, and we'll see what you have to say.
Sounds good. All right, let's. I think it's situational. It's calculated, and if you want to play through Sands or Parks, and then knock it out to a fullback, and then that ball's played down the flank or in behind, and you've eliminated 6 or 7 players because you're able to combine like that. You have to take advantage of those situations too, and I would think New York City would do that. Well, a guy who played at the back for New York City. How about this? We went across the ocean and on the sea of where Malmo, Sweden has won a championship. Unfortunately, I hate to even point out a parallel that Anton was unable to play when New York City won MLS Cup, and he could not play other than 3 matches all year for Malmo, but they won the Swedish title. There was a celebration today, and after the celebration, Anton Tinnerholm was kind enough to come on with us, and we recorded this about an hour ago with the Swede, the guy who really solved problems for New York City at right back. They didn't have to worry about anything for like 4 years with the Tinnerholm there. So
he was the right back.
He was the right back. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. All right, let it roll, Shane, and enjoy. All right, and there he is. Anton Tinnerholm, all dressed up, winning. Anton, he's about winning championships, and Malmo has won the title, Roberto. So the celebration dinner. What were you telling me, Anton, before we started recording, that the restaurants in town want to treat the team?
Yeah, they're buying us dinner everywhere, so we just go places and say yes to the restaurants. So we're like the king of the town right now, and it's we better enjoy it. You never know when it's gonna stop. So yeah, it's a good time. We won the Swedish League and the Swedish Cup as well. So First time winning the double for 30 years, I think.
Now, if I remember this correctly, when you came to New York City, Malmo had won back-to-back titles, right? You had won 2 consecutive before you came to New York, yes?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. So I remember how popular you were. Now that you've returned, I know there's been some injury woes and you haven't been able to produce the way you want, but it must have been nice to be welcomed back.
Yeah, no, for sure. I love it here. It's my second hometown, if you can call it that way. It's been tough with the injuries, but we love it here with the fam and the kids, and it really feels like home. We're probably gonna stay here after my career as well. So we love it. Sometimes I can miss New York as well, but now with 2 small kids, I think it's better here.
Yeah. You lived in Manhattan, right? You were downtown, weren't you?
54 and 10, so close to Central Park. But when we got our firstborn, we felt like, this is not the place to be with a little one.
Oh, I see. I disagree with you. I loved raising my son here in New York. That was the best.
Yeah,
seriously, it was the best thing for him because there's a lot of things that you can learn in school, and then there's street smarts. And he went out and got a lot of street smarts aside from school smarts. And I think that it's a fantastic place to raise kids. I seriously do.
I bet it is, but I think it's just the perspective where you come from. You know, I'm born and raised in this like freedom where we have like a middle of nowhere, and you can just run around as a kid, and you can be like 15 minutes from your parents, and nobody really care as long as you're home for dinner. And it felt like Manhattan. You can't leave your kid's hand because then the car is gonna drive her over. So I felt like this freedom wasn't really there. So, but I guess when you're raised with that, it's not a problem, you know. So I think it's just a different perspective where you grow up yourself, you know.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. You're not, you know, he's on the water in Malmo, you know, in this beautiful area, and it's just and you're where you grew up. You said is about 4 hours away, so your parents aren't that close, but you can get to them every now and then.
Yeah, they come down sometimes and be the nanny to the kids, so it's nice.
Yeah, they come down to see the grandkids, not you, obviously.
Yes,
they don't care.
That's the way that works.
Hey, by the way, I am sporting my
Anton
Tinnerholm T-shirt, and I don't even know. I don't know where I got it. I don't remember exactly where it came from. It was somebody put it out on a blog or something. What did that? I can't remember. Do you remember?
It was the club who sold it, actually.
Oh, really? I didn't.
Yeah, no, it was after I think it's maybe my best season there, and then it was like a thing, and then they sold it, and I know Bob said it was sold out so soon. It was a lot of like friends who wanted it, but it was sold out.
Well, look, you played 119 games for New York City, 5 seasons. You had that Achilles injury that ended the season prematurely in 21, which was rugged because you had contributed to what was a playoff season and an MLS Cup season. And 9 goals, 23 assists, 3 assists in 8 playoff games. And you know, Roberto, I remember.
Okay, that's good.
What was that?
I didn't know it was 23 assists. It felt like a lot.
Well, you had a lot. You
had a lot. But this is what you did. Roberto and I used to, I don't know if we ever told you this, we used to talk about, man, right back is such a troubled position. You know, it's like we never could get anybody that would really come in and just take charge of it, and we didn't have to worry about that spot. And then Tinnerholm showed up, and then Tinner boom with his 9 goals, and you know, everybody was happy.
4 goals and 6 assists in 2020. 1 goal, 7 assists, primary assists in 2019. But when you got here, Anton, the first couple of games seemed to be difficult for you. And can you tell us what was going on, and maybe if you agree or not agree, why that was happening, and how long did it finally take you to adjust?
Yeah, I mean, maybe the friendlies wasn't the best games for me. We faced like a college team. I remember we beat them like 10-0 and I scored, so it was maybe good. But I remember Patrick Vieira at the time said that, yeah, you can't hit any long balls, and this team is shit. And like, it was a lot of like weird things happening at the training camp. And then we were going to Kansas, where it was like really cold and it was fireworks and like, you know, a typical American thing.
Yeah.
Like, what is this? But then we won a pretty tough away game, and then we faced Galaxy at home, and then I scored a left volley banger. So I felt like after that I was kind of into it, and then just kept on playing, you know, and then I scored some more bangers that season. So it felt like I don't really know if I was struggling, but I felt like the preseason was I had to adjust a little bit to the American style. You're a little bit special, but in a good way. But I felt like in the start of the season it was good for me, and I felt like a good way of playing football. I really liked how we played during Patrick, and even the other coaches as well. We really were trying to play from the back and play the football I really wanted.
But
What was the
it?
differences? I'm sorry, Glenn. I was just because I wanted to follow up on that because you said there were differences between what you were accustomed to and what you saw here. What were those differences, and how did you adjust?
I think that the main difference was the tempo. To be honest, in Sweden and Malmö, we were the by far the best team. So most of the teams were like defending in their own box, and we had to do everything. And then I got here, and of course New York is one of the best teams in the league. But even if you face one of the bottom teams at home, they trying to play, they trying to press, and they like it's a different kind of match. And then maybe don't have the quality, but it's still a challenge to face that kind of teams all the time that really pushing you and trying and press, and then it's opens up space in other directions that I can take advantage of that I wasn't used to it because I played in Sweden, and then you have to do so much extra. So I think it's just the tempo and the physicality on some players as well. So it took some time to adjust to that, I would say.
What I was going to say, I was going to kid Roberto that at first he was saying things like, "Why did they get this guy? Why did they bring this guy?" And I was like, but Anton Tinnerholm is with us. So Anton, one of the reasons I contacted you and wanted to bring you on is this Hudson River Derby playoff game, and you played in a number of derbies here, and you were a big part of helping to build New York City into a team that could beat the Red Bulls, which was very difficult early on. Do you have a fondest memory? I mean, is there something that really sticks out about this derby? It could be more than one. It could be a moment where you cracked Bradley Wright Phillips. I don't know what it might be.
The first thing that pops up in my mind is Eber's flick when I have the assist on the side, and I have a nutmeg on the defender, and he flicks it, and then it's a nutmeg on the defender or the keeper, I think it was as well. So that's the first thing. But maybe my best memory is when, I don't know what year it was, but we got an early send-off in the first half. I think it was this Eloy that was on loan. So we were one man down in the first half, and then they scored 1-0, and then we equalized, and then we got another guy sending off. So we were two men down.
Oh wow!
It was so heated on the field, and even on the stadium. It's not always like that. I've been honest to like the fans and everything, saying that the atmosphere in MLS and New York is not even close to how it is in Europe and Allsvenskan. But at that game, it really felt like it was something different going on, and I like this spicy game, even at the stadium as well. So felt like the stand and us were really together, and even if it was a draw, it felt like a win because we were two men down.
Yeah, I'm looking back. I think that was 2018 with Villa scored and BWP. Is that the game?
Yeah, I don't know if it was 2 red cards. It's that game.
Yeah,
Eloy Amagat got red carded, and Ebenezer Ofori got red carded in that game. Ofori in the 72nd minute.
Oh my God, I forgot about it.
And Amagat, who was very forgettable. Sorry if he's watching, but he was very forgettable. He got red carded in the 40th minute, 3 minutes after Bradley Wright Phillips scored, and then David Villa tied it in the 52nd with an assist from, you're going to love this, Glenn, Joe Inga Burgett.
My guy.
That's right.
That was a special game. Maybe people don't really think about it, but it's still in my memory because it was so heated, and I love how the fans were fired up at that game.
30,000 at Yankee Stadium that day, over 30,000.
So you missed Messi though. It was 48,000 at Yankee Stadium for Messi this year. I don't know if were you able to watch that game or review it at all?
I saw some highlights, but I mean, I bet the atmosphere wasn't great because everyone is there for one guy. So
that's
normally doesn't.
It's actually you would be proud of your New York City supporters because it really wasn't like that at all. They were not having it.
Yeah,
that's good. I like that.
They stopped the bus. They stopped the bus from coming into the stadium. They chanted all sorts of wonderful obscenities to Messi and Inter Miami. And although there was some pink shirts throughout the stadium, it was mostly a New York City FC crowd. And a lot of the pink shirts that were there were kids that were just coming for the first time. And at the end of the day, they started rooting for New York City. So it was a very different atmosphere than what Messi has seen throughout the rest of the league. The New York City fans showed out. It was great.
Oh, okay. I like that. That's my guys then learning now. They adjust everything. So I like that. And but normally when it's that kind of games, it's a different atmosphere. But now I like to hear that.
Well, it's going to be at Citi Field this Saturday, and there's a guy that will more than likely start. I would be shocked if he did. Maxi Morales, 37 years old, comes back to New York City. So you played a lot of games with Maxi. He's the all-time leader in games played in playoffs, goals scored with 5, assists with 6. So tell us why Maxi has been so good in these situations.
Maxi is a guy that I think everyone trusts, because you know what you're gonna get from him. And at his position, it's not easy to find a guy that you can trust that always delivers. Maybe not always like an assist or a goal, but he always takes the dirty work. So I would say that he always shows up, and especially the big games as well. I would say like I play with a lot of really, really good guys. But for a longer period, this is like the best player I played with, and I love to play with him because we connected on the field as well. I think we have a lot of assists and goals together as well. So he's the perfect teammate off pitch as well, because he sees everyone and get together. I think we were at his place sometimes, and his wives bring the girlfriends and wives together. So I think he does more than just assist and goals, and that's what some people is seeing. But he does more, so he's crucial for this club.
Yeah,
and Tom, when you have, I'm sorry, continue.
No, go ahead, Roberto.
I was going to say, well, obviously, when you're in a playoff game, right? For you, it would be something like being in Champions League or UEFA League, Europa League, rather, right? Now, having a playoff game, does it add anything extra? The fact that you not only never want to lose a playoff game, right, because you get eliminated, but you really don't want to lose it, especially if it's the first one, to a heated rival. Does that play any part of it at all? Or is it just the fact that it's a playoff game and it doesn't really matter who you're playing? You obviously don't want to lose.
To be honest, I haven't played the Red Bull in the playoffs, so
Nobody has.
No, exactly. So I don't really know, but what I know is that a playoff game is enough to get heated and to get this special feeling. I think it's like a special feeling because you look forward to it, but still you're feeling like everything is on stake, of course, but you can lose so much as well, because if you lose, you're out and your season is over, and a lot of guys' contracts expires, and everything is on stake. So it's not just you going into it, and of course you look forward to it, but you see the downside as well. So I think that makes it so special with a playoff game that if we win, we're like kings for a day, and then we look forward to the next one, and if we lose, then it could be a problem, and you see some guys never again.
I talked about Maxi, at any moment this could be his final game, with New York City. We don't know if he'll be back or not next year. I was looking through my notes. This was interesting about you because because of the attack out of the back, and you were even surprised by all your statistics. I also pulled out something. You were offside 17 times in your MLS career. What was going on? So you were like, now I don't know how many of those were you were just being overly assertive, or could you have looked along the line and maybe held your run up a little, or
Yeah, the first thought is that with the Dominic Torrent, we played like a 3-5-2 system where I was like one of the wing backs,
Right.
and he always wanted, yeah, if one wing back is crossing, the other one has to be in the second post in the box. So the only thing I'm thinking about is maybe I was like high and wide on that side when we're playing during him, but 17 times, that sounds incredible high number.
So Dome would be 2019. So you were offside. I'm going to look back. Let's see. Offside. That's true. You were offside 7 times that year. So that makes sense. So it was a system thing. There you
I
go.
speak to Dome. I'll tell him that you said so, that it's his fault.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
He's
used
doing
to
well
that.
in Mexico, by the way. He's doing fantastic in Mexico.
In what team?
He's Atlético San Luis in Mexico. He got them into the playoffs. He has the 14th largest budget out of 18 teams in Mexico. So, he's got the 4th smallest per se. And he got his team in the top 5.
Oh, okay.
And then now he's in the playoffs and they'll be hosting games. So it's like fantastic.
Yeah.
Former managers. Hey, Patrick just got another job. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that in Italy. So now we just waiting for Ronnie Dela to get a new job as well.
Isn't he he's in the Middle East somewhere, right?
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. He's got, I can't come up with it right now. It's either Qatar or the United Emirates.
I thought he left there too, and that he was basically a free agent. I thought that he was a free agent. And then his assistant, Efrain Juarez, is getting himself into trouble every single game in Colombia.
Yeah, he's a head coach there, right?
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Okay. Now it's funny to see that, like how the coaches end up as well, and some players as well.
Hey, I have one question for you. Maybe the last one. I don't know how much time you got here, but I have a question for you about this. One of my favorite goals all time for New York City, and Glenn and I have been here since day one, was your goal in San Jose.
San Jose. Yeah.
Oh my God! Off the corner kick, and you nail the volley. Is that a goal that is very present for you? Where does that rank for you among your favorite goals?
Yeah, it's up there, definitely top 3, top 2. I did another goal in Malmö when I was like dribbling past the whole team, so maybe that one, and the San Jose goal is the top goals. But now it was just crazy because in Sweden I wasn't like a shooter at all, I wasn't like at the corners. I was standing on halfway line and always defending because they trusted me as a defender, but not as an attacker. And but then we had a talk with the goalkeeper coach, Rob, who was in charge for the set pieces, and he said that but no one's gonna believe if you're standing up there that we're gonna have a corner to you and then you're gonna shoot. So the only thing you have to do is to train on this, and then we're gonna do it. So we had a session before, I think it was the day before the game, and we were trying it, and I hit the parking lot behind like 3 or 4 times, and then I go out to the game and do that. So I think everyone was surprised to see the ball go into the net, to be honest.
Well, you don't set pieces. You don't have to train them till success. It's just the organization, right? You just have to.
You have to be best when it matters, and that's a key.
Well, that's interesting because that was not the only time you were set up at the top of the area. I guess you gained the confidence there. So Rob, when he was setting up corners, you snuck in a few more times in your career, yeah?
Yeah, now after that, it's been like a thing, and Tinnerholm came and like it was a thing. But my friends and my teammates back in Sweden, they didn't really know what was going on. They just saw the videos and it was like, what the fuck is going on with this guy?
How could he be doing it? Where was that for us, man? Where was that for us?
Exactly. That's what they said.
Have you been able to replicate it?
No, I haven't been playing that many games, to be honest. But I just remember from New York time, it was like this left volley and home opener against Galaxy. But I've been doing it more in training actually, like, or at least shooting, because I haven't. Because no one believes I'm gonna shoot, but now I got a rumor that I can shoot. So yeah, then I do it.
So one last thing. So you're 33 years old. I think you still have a year or two left at Malmo contractually right now. How will you approach preseason? Do you anticipate being fully fit? I mean, I know it's just been one of those lingering kind of soft tissue injuries.
Yeah, my goal is to be back when the season starts next season. I've been having problem with my groin and same leg as I had the Achilles. So yeah, maybe we have something weaker on my right side to do, and so I have to build my muscles and my stability on my right side. But I always been in pain my whole career, but it's been working out. But now when I'm getting older as well, it's been not handleable at all. So I'm trying to build a sustainability here and no more surgeries or anything like that. So now I'm trying to build something for the long term. I'm incredibly motivated to come back because we have a fantastic coach here in Malmö as well that I really love to play for. I will fight to come back when the season starts.
Well, I'm not trying to retire you. I just want one quick last one. I said, I'm not trying to retire you, but have you thought about yet what you're going to do post your playing career? Maybe replace Glenn as a play-by-play of New York City in English?
No, but you've got to come back. He doesn't need to replace. You need to come back and join me in the broadcast booth again. You had your debut.
It was a lot more fun to say replace you, by the way, but that's fine.
I was there, right? DC away, I think.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I remember. No, but I'm actually studying economics on the side at the university here in Sweden. It's been good. It's been on demand, so it's been easy for me to do besides the football. And now I'm gonna work with some economics. I don't know, probably something regarding finance here in Sweden.
All right, it's all about the money, man. That's right. It's good. Hey, look, you're gone but not forgotten here. In interviews I've done with Micha Ilinic, your name has come up a couple of times, and we talk to Nick every week. Your name has come up multiple times, so people remember what you did here, and it's wonderful to reconnect. And what's your derby prediction, Anton, before we go?
No, we're gonna win for sure. I think it's gonna be a 2-0 win. Maxi scores, and then you have a striker on fire. So I don't really know him, but I see he scores a lot of goals. So I hope he scores another one.
He scored
Alonso.
two. He scored 2 in the last Red Bull game, Alonso Martinez. So we'll see what he can come up with. Well, you got to come back to visit Etihad Park, which is the new stadium in 2027. So hopefully we'll see you sometime along the way. But Anton, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys. Good to see you again.
Good to see you. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right. There it was. 25 minutes with Anton Tinnerholm, who predicts 2-0 New York City over the Red Bulls in the playoff Hudson River Derby. And that was fun. And it's a guy that was so popular here. He's so popular back at Malmo, and he's popular because of the way he goes at it, right, Roberto? I mean, the way he went at it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And he played with a smile. He was very different than you remember Ring would almost never smile at anything. And even when you saw him off the field, he was a man of very few words, but Anton is totally different. And it was a hell of a lot of fun. Miss him here. I wish him well. And here's hoping that he fully recovers and can contribute more to another championship for Malmo.
Yeah. Also, the mention of Ronnie Dyla, John Rojas, our good friend. You were on his podcast earlier today in Spanish.
Ronnie didn't get a chance, so we couldn't sign in.
Ronnie is indeed. Ronnie Dyla is in the Middle East. He's at Al Wada in Abu Dhabi. He's third in the table with his team. So, John, thank you for chiming in there. And I remember hearing about it. I didn't hear about his departure, so he hasn't. He's still hanging in the Middle East. So, who needs a job? So if Dyla's got it, Jason Christ is back at RSL. So all our former coaches have jobs, right?
Yeah, trying
All
to
right.
think. Yeah, Dom is doing well in Mexico, and Patrick's got a new job in Italy. I mean, he's going to go to Jesus. Is it Genoa? Jeez. Could be a worse city to go live in.
Yeah, these Italian cities, my goodness, but the pressure of Italian football too. Patrick's put himself into some interesting positions. Nice, the supporters there, the ultras there are nuts. Remember, they wouldn't let the bus. I can't remember what it was. They blocked the bus from going to a game, from wherever the facility was. They were so angry. They never filled the park. It wasn't like they were getting capacity, but the ultras were nuts at Nice. Then he's at Palace, and Palace is Palace. And by the way, did you watch the clip I sent you today of Matty Lawrence, his head ball on goal rebound score from his days at Crystal Palace 14 years ago?
I did not. I did not see it. I will have to catch it later. I apologize.
Oh, okay. Well, don't apologize. I
try to see everything immediately, but I couldn't today for whatever reason it was. I don't know if you sent it while I was driving or something, but I didn't get it in time.
I don't know.
Maybe I don't remember, but I'll look at it later.
Now, talking about former New York City people, you've got Stephen Turnbull. How about Rhode Island? First year in the USL Championship, expansion year. They're in the USL title game against Colorado. Now, poor Stephen, he dislocated his shoulder a couple of games ago, so he's not going to be able to play in the final. But he played a big role. He was a regular at right back for Rhode Island all year. And it's 10 a.m. Mountain Time for the kickoff to accommodate the CBS network. So they're going to have a morning game in.
Well, the fact that it's on CBS is pretty damn good. I mean, that's awesome. And by the way, they're going to try to pull a 1998 Chicago Fire.
Which is what?
When Chicago Fire joined MLS and won the championship.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Same year.
Under Bob Bradley, who had left Bruce Arena. He was assisting Arena there at DC United. Bruce Arena in the news. It's pretty interesting to have Bruce back in the fold. I was looking at sometimes you just don't recognize it to the level it needs to be. The number of playoff wins, he's got like 35. The next closest coach is like 14. 5 MLS Cups. He goes to New England, wins the Supporters Shield. And he went there saying, I need some money to get some players in, and he brought in that Gustavo Bo. He had already recruited while he was with the Galaxy years earlier, and now brings Bo in, and he made a big difference. And now he's at San Jose. We didn't talk about my trip to the Caribbean, which is fine, but I did.
No, we should, because that's freaking awesome. I know it didn't go maybe as the team would have wanted to, but thankfully I can say that you were not in charge of defense.
No, I wasn't in charge of much. I did draw up a corner kick, which they utilized, but they didn't really execute it properly. So it needs to be practiced a little bit more diligently in order to work, and they didn't quite get it. And well, this will give us time to vamp a little bit, because we're in a moment we hope to have Matt Rosetta, who's the chairman of Brooklyn FC, with us. And I've been trying to get him on for a while now. He's a busy guy, and you'll hear why, to talk about this new USL championship. So you got the championship game this weekend. You've got another expansion team coming in. So Brooklyn will be looking to match the Rhode Island thing. And then you've got the Brooklyn women's team playing in the USL Super League, and they're number 1 in the league right now. But this trip to St. Lucia and then Curacao, it was interesting from a number of standpoints. First, Stern John is the coach of St. Lucia, and he's, in 2 years at Columbus, he, 44 goals in 55 games, and Trinidad's all-time leading scorer. And I talked to Eric Winaldo a little bit about him, and Winaldo said he was, one of the best strikers he ever saw. So he's coaching the team. And my great friend Marco Masucci from Montreal, that's why when we go up to Montreal, and I never go out to dinner with you guys, I'm always dining with Marco, and he's the assistant coach. He did a great job. played Curacao in the last game, had to beat Curacao, that have all Eredivisie, first or second division players. Dick Advocat is the coach of Curacao, which is crazy. Aloy Room was in goal for Curacao.
Yeah.
Former Columbus crew keeper.
Yeah, but that's where Columbus found him in the Gold Cup playing for Curacao. It was like all of a sudden they were winning games that had no business winning, and he was fantastic, and they were like, all right, maybe he's good.
Yeah, well, Aloy didn't have much action. 4-1 was the result there, but afterwards, I sat for about close to an hour with Shalry Joseph. Grenada was there, and that's where Shalry played. He's a Grenadan, and I recorded an interview with him as well, which I'll play some of it here, but also some of it on my Sirius XMFC show. That was his last game with Grenada, and they finished third, so they stayed in this CONCACAF Nations League. That's what all this is. I mean, there's a lot out there. And I now have a greater understanding of CONCACAF Nations League, having hung out through all this. But Shalry Joseph, last game, guy who played at St. John's, kind of a New Yorker. And, of course, the idea that he might join Bruce would not be out of the question, because he was with him in New England. This is his last game with Grenada. He told his team that. So we wonder if Shalry will reemerge somewhere back in the States at some point. So it was cool talking to him. And he talked about the, sort of the travails of the players there that are good, but they don't have much guidance. There aren't many scouts over there. There's a 16-year-old kid for St. Lucia. I mean, I would, if I were an agent or a scout, I would figure out a way to get him into my academy and work with him if that's possible. I suppose with visas and things, it becomes a difficult process. But, there are players there, but they just, and what one coach told me is that I think it was Shalry that said they, after a while, they just kind of give up and, and then just go to work and stop their soccer. One more note before, and it's kind of a Brooklyn tie-in. USL League One had their championship as well. And Union Omaha won it under Dominic Cassiato. And one of the situations where I met Dominic, I've known him for years now, was he was coaching the Brooklyn Italians, and they beat the Cosmos in the U.S. Open Cup. Back-to-back Coach of the Year awards, back-to-back shields, and now a USL champion. They beat Spokane 2-0 in the final. So I mentioned Brooklyn because we're going to go to Brooklyn FC in a moment as we kick it around. Well, Roberto, starting in 2025, you're going to be able to watch professional soccer all over the place in New York City. You got New York City FC, top tier, playing in Citi Field and Yankee Stadium, soon to play in Etihad Park. Got to get that right. NYCFC 2. MLS Next Pro. They're on Randall's Island for a majority of their games. And now there's a team in Brooklyn. Roberto, I know you're aware of this. And it's the second tier professional soccer. They're going to come in USL Championship starting in 2025. And they are under the guidance of the chairman of the North 6 Group, Matt Rosetta. Let's bring him in. There he is. Matt, what's happening, man?
Glenn, how we doing? Roberto, how's it going? Thanks for having me on the program.
Hey,
you're quite
it's
welcome.
our pleasure.
A long time coming, Glenn.
I know. Well, this guy's difficult to chase down. I think he's on the charter more than he's on the grounds.
You're speaking my language here. Marco Masucci, that's my guy up in Montreal. I just spoke to him. We got the Brooklyn Italians. We got too many vowels going around here, I think.
No, this is well, you guys have to stick together, you and Marco and that crew. I understand that.
I just saw Marco. He's a great guy.
He's a great guy. Well, he's one of my best friends in the game. And he one thing I wasn't aware until I started going up to Montreal and visit him is that there's a massive Italian population.
Oh my God.
In Montreal. You're aware of that, I guess.
It's become my second home. I'm in Montreal 2 or 3 times a month. Now, not just Italian, but specifically, we own a club in Italy, Campobasso, and Montreal has the largest population of Campobasso immigrants out of any place in the world. I think there's like 2 times the amount of people from Campobasso who live in Montreal than actually live in Campobasso right now in Italy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, look, before we get to Brooklyn, Campobasso. So you've got this group so you've also acquired. I want to make sure I have this right. Dagenham and Redbridge in England, right? So and there's is Peter Friend still involved?
Peter stayed on as a minority owner. Peter's a great guy. We obviously took our control stake. We bought our control stake from Peter. And Peter went in, I believe, with Tim Howard as well when they bought the club originally. Yeah.
I remember. Well, I had him on my podcast, and Roberto. So Peter, he's also got a piece of the Yankees. So he's like he'll at Yankee Stadium every now and then. He's at a New York City game, and well, that's wonderful. Now, tell us about Campobasso. What part of Italy? Describe that area, and then I'll be looking forward to my invitation.
Anytime, Glenn. So, we just to take a step back, I started a marketing firm. That's my core business called North 6 Agency. I started it in 2009. I was about 26 years old at the time, scaled the business, built it for about 12 years. And I woke up right around the time of COVID, and I was just going so hard building that business. And I wanted to sort of start to diversify a little bit more, invest in businesses I felt I was a little bit more passionate about. And I grew up enamored with Italian football. This was the early 90s, Maradona, the Berlusconi AC Milan teams, all those teams. And it was a lifelong dream of mine to basically go into the town or the city close to where my grandparents immigrated from and buy the club. And that's what we did. We did it in 2020, originally as a minority stake, and then we wound up buying a control stake. The club had just been relegated all the way down to the 5th tier, which essentially is an amateur tier. It's the highest level of amateur football, but it's non-professional. But there's a massive fan base, 25,000 seat stadium. The tons of fans of Campobasso live in North America. So for me, it was really a great opportunity. We bought the club in the 5th tier. We had 10 days to put a squad together. We had no players. We had no coach at that time. Mark Consuelos and Kelly Ripa joined us, as well as some other great partners of mine on the project. And basically it's turned into a Cinderella story. We wound up getting the club promoted in our first season. And then last season we got promoted again. So 2 promotions in 2 seasons. Now we're in the 3rd tier in Serie C, and we're in the playoff zone right now. So that's been a Cinderella story. And just beyond the sporting side, it's also just been a great opportunity to kind of give life and identity and recognition to a part of Italy that they literally say doesn't exist in Italy. They say Molise non esiste, which means that's the area where Campobasso is from. It doesn't exist. So it's been cool to put that place on the map.
Well, you jumped a lot of tiers to start this Brooklyn franchise. And so we're all clear to go for 2025. Is that we can say that definitively?
Well, we're working with the league, and we're looking at some options for the men's team right now. The women's team obviously is up and running. We're in first place. It's been a great ride, playing in the Super League, and the men's team's up and running in terms of our preparation. And we're working with the league now to figure out if we're starting in 25 or 26.
And I know that you're in Brooklyn, but the fact is, as far as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong here, you're actually playing your women's games. You're actually playing like 10 minutes away from where I live, which is in Inwood. I live in Washington Heights. So you're up at the Columbia University facility. How's that working out for you?
Yeah, we had some sort of unexpected issues with the field turf over at Coney Island, which got us scrambling a little bit before the women's season kicked off. We're really fortunate. We have some great relationships both with Columbia University, and the Camiso family was very generous, gracious. They obviously donated the field out there. So it's been a great temporary home for us. The girls I know, and obviously the guys who are coming soon can't wait to get out and play in Coney Island. So it's just a matter of time. And right now we're working with, with the league and with the New York Mets organization just to identify, some turf solutions. And then once that is resolved, we'll be off and running, but it should be soon.
Can I ask you what the problem is with the turf? I mean, we've seen teams play on very dry turf, on tall turf, turf that's almost barely there. What are the issues with the stadium on Coney Island that didn't allow you to play?
It's way above my pay grade, Roberto. I can tell you the following. I told my family the same thing. It's kind of like when you get married and you're looking for a diamond ring, and you know nothing about diamonds, but then in the span of like 6 weeks, all of a sudden you become a diamond expert. The
Yeah.
the princess cut and the clarity and the 3 C's or whatever. This has kind of been a crash course for our ownership group in terms of turf. We knew nothing about field turf as of 6 months ago, and now we've become sort of experts on it. But there's a lot of sort of variables at play. Obviously, New York City, from an infrastructure and facilities standpoint, is not an easy place to navigate. But the league's been super supportive of us. The New York Mets organization has been super supportive. So we'll have something. We'll have some positive news very shortly.
You've mentioned the Mets a couple of times. What's that? How did that relationship develop?
Well, believe it or not, Glenn, I actually got out when I was in college. I went to Iona. I was in my sophomore year. I was an intern for the then expansion or almost expansion Brooklyn Cyclones, which is the Mets affiliate. So I've been obviously very close to the organization. I've stayed close to the organization over the years. And then when we wound up buying the soccer franchise, when we wound up buying Brooklyn FC, we needed a place to play, and both the Cyclones, which is the affiliate, and then the New York Mets, the parent organization, were super supportive of the project, and we were able to get a deal done to call it our home for the next several years.
So Matt Rosetta, our guest, he's the chairman of the North 6th Group, and one of their teams is Brooklyn FC, starting in either 25 or 26, and just the development of the team, and what is the order of things for you? Because obviously you're going to need players, you're going to need a technical staff. There's an infrastructure that you're going to have to develop. Like, what is the order of things, and what will decide, ultimately whether it's 25 or 26? Because people in the community, the soccer lovers, some of them will go to New York City games, and they'll also go to Brooklyn FC games. That's going to happen.
Totally. Well, look, we're fortunate because on the back office side, a lot of that infrastructure is consolidated. So when you think about things like all the boring stuff that fans don't care about, but is kind of the lifeblood of football clubs, we're able to leverage shared resources across both the men's and women's team, as well as the other clubs in our network. So when you think about finance, marketing, IT, human resources, we have a running start already because all of those resources we're able to leverage across our network. On the sporting side, we were actually the last franchise to sign on the dotted line for the Super League, USL Super League. So I think we signed our franchise agreement sometime in February or March, and we reported to training camp in July. So basically in the span of 4 months, we put together our whole team from zero. And obviously the team's in first place. It's doing great, but we're learning. There's always every day in doing professional football in New York City is not easy. It's it's not without its challenges and its obstacles. So we're trying to lean into that and make that part of our identity. You're going to have to roll with the punches a little bit. Field turf, infrastructure. I mean, all of those things are challenging to navigate, and we're trying to use them obviously as learning lessons. But we're a hardworking group. We're New Yorkers. We're stubborn. We like to think of ourselves as folks who can persevere, and we have the stick-to-itiveness to get through these obstacles. And I think that's been the coolest part for me of the project, is that behind the scenes we represent Brooklyn. We're sort of hardworking, gritty, underdog type, and that's what the clubs have. The women's team certainly is represented on the field, and that's what the men's team is going to represent. We really want the men's team to sort of be a window of the world, because that's what Brooklyn is, and that's who we're going to go out and recruit. Obviously, we'll lean into our local connections. New York is so talent rich, so we'll do everything we can to lean into that. But then we also want to recruit across the world, South and Central America, Eastern Europe, Africa. I mean, that's going to be a big part of our recruiting strategy.
So the women are already playing, as you said, they're in first place. Can you tell us when they're going to play, so the people that are tuning in can go and check out a game?
So
Here's a chance for you to to go and promote your product.
We have two games left. Both are road games before the winter break. The Super League breaks, it follows the European calendar, right? So it breaks from mid-December through February. So we have a game. Our next game is December 7th on the road against Lexington. And then we finish up, I think it's December 13th at Dallas, which should be a good game. Just on a side note, you guys, Glenn, you'll get a kick out of this. Before the season started, the women's season started, we had a preseason meal, right, with the team. It was a dinner. And you got to remember, we put the women's team together in like 3 or 4 months, right?
I know. I was sending you. I don't know if you remember. I was sending you names of players to check out.
That's right. I do remember. In fact, I think we might have signed 1 or 2 of your leads. So thank you.
There you go. He wants a percentage now.
That's
Listen,
a freebie. That's a freebie to get going. You know,
Glenn, whatever it is, it's not what the agents charge us. So you could take it. It's probably a fraction of it.
Exactly.
So we're doing this preseason meal. We put the team together in 3 months' notice, literally from nothing we had on the women's side. And we're about to go into training camp. And the girls all know that we have our club in Italy. And a lot of them hadn't had the opportunity yet to travel abroad because of, a lot of them were coming from either NWSL training camp or from college or whatnot. So they all wanted to go to Italy. So what did I do? Genius me, what did I do? I made a deal with them. I said, girls, I'll make you a deal. If we are in first place at the winter turn, because we need a place to go in January. There's 2 months off. So I said, we'll send you to Italy for training camp, and you guys can spend the winter in Italy training, right? Obviously thinking, what are the odds we finish first place? We're the last team to sign on the dot.
Oh, my God. Matt's going like, this ain't happening. Don't worry about it, man. Nice offer.
Now we got two. So fast forward to, end of November now, 2 games to go. And we're in first place by 2 points clear. And I've never been so, I know I speak for the rest of the ownership group. I don't think we've ever been so eager and excited to potentially drop, a lot of money to because they deserve it. I mean, they've just worked their butt off. The girls have been amazing. They've taken on the spirit and the life of our coach, Jess Silva, also a Montreal product like Marco, by the way. And we're just so proud of them. So proud of them, man.
So you have to do me a favor. And I hope to see her one day. I recruited Sam Rosette, I think while I was at Rutgers.
Okay.
And she came in with her dad, and they were such cool people. And so if you remember, you have to tell her, see if she remembers. I think she'll remember the trip and me. But
Sam's our captain. And I'm not just saying it because it's Sam, but she has been an amazing captain. If I wish her a long and prosperous career in professional soccer. I'm sure she will have it whenever she's ready to get out of soccer. I think she can be a super successful executive and run big companies. I mean, she's got incredible communication skills, leadership skills. She's the real deal.
Well, Matt, I think, once you get going, let's good luck to the women in the second stage. And we'll maybe get somebody on from the women's side, the sporting side, and certainly when you kick off with the men in the championship. Well, good luck with all that. And I'm happy we connected and got you on here to, kick off things with Brooklyn FC on the women's side, the men's side. This is excellent. So have fun with it. I could tell you are. And thanks for coming on.
Glenn, Roberto, thanks so much, fellas. Keep up the great work. Who do you guys got this weekend, by the way, in the Derby?
Well, who do we got? Who are we picking?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think New York City.
Yeah.
Rhetorical question.
Yeah. Well, Anton Tinnerholm said 2-0. I might go 2-1. I might be a little more conservative, but
I may be 1-0, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
As
Who
long
scores?
as the New York City fans are all happy, I think, and we get another game to call the following week, we're happy. We just want to call games.
My upset is Micha Ilinic scores the game-winning goal. So that's what I got. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
They capped the attendance, right? I read something about 25,000 or something. Is that right?
Yeah. City Field's having. Well, they do. Roberto might be able to even say it.
They're winterizing. They
winterizing. Yes.
The whole top part of the stadium, so that's closed. And then there are other seats that are obstructed views, and I think they're going to put some of those. They might put some of those on sale either way. But they first said 22,005, and then they found another 2,500 that they were able to sell. And we hope that every single seat is packed. I know the atmosphere is going to be lit one way or the other. And hey, if you're in town, stop on by. It's
scouting
not Brooklyn,
trip.
It's Queens, but it's
okay.
okay.
Scouting trip. That's right. All right,
well,
Matt.
enjoy the game, fellas. Appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
Man. Great having you on. Matt Rossetti, he's the chairman of 2 teams close by, Brooklyn FC on the women's side in the USL Super League, and the forthcoming Brooklyn FC on the men's side, which will either kick off in 25 or 26. There's a lot going on to make that happen. So, Roberto, we have to get out of here because Shane has another show to produce. And but let's quickly coming up Saturday at 5 p.m. on the English side, we will kick off our pregame coverage on the New York City FC Network and Sirius XM FC, and also MLS Season Pass. Roberto will be on at 5:15 on the Spanish side, also on Sirius XM, channel 999 on the app. We're channel 157 on the English side. So no excuse for not listening to the English or the Spanish in this Hudson River Derby. Talked to Danny Higginbottom earlier today. He's on the Apple broadcast, and he doesn't know that I'm going to tell everybody to use the drop down and listen to me and Maddie. Me and Maddie.
Oh, so we got him and Steve Cangelosi, I guess, right?
That's right. So, the Red Bull fans will be happy to have a Cangelosi on. So, that'll work out well for them. And but Roberto, good stuff. Thanks so much to Anton Tinnerholm, who was our special guest today from Malmö, Sweden. They're coming off a championship there. Maybe that vibe will point its way in the New York City direction coming up on Saturday at Citi Field. So for Roberto Abramowitz, I'm Glenn Crooks. This has been NYCFC Views Live.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast NYCFC Views on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.